he comes back, I think he says, in a Zen-like state, realizing that you can have it all.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Welcome to another episode of Books and Games. Hi, I'm Kristen.
I'm Leilani.
And we created this podcast to bring you on the journey with us of literature and
libation.
Mm-hmm. And to show you that, I don't know, we kicked our heels off, we let our hair down, and we're having fun.
We're having fun.
Yes.
We discuss a little business, little books, little booze.
And it's great.
And at the end, it's just to have a great time.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a new month. It's August. It is hot as what? So I like that we are keeping with Jen. You know, we just finished Infinite Possibilities and we tried Manifest
Distillery.
That was amazing.
So good.
And I am so excited for
Yes.
State House Gin.
We have another good one.
Oh, we do.
Yes.
So this is a huge thanks to our good friends up in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sean. The Buckeyes. OH. Yes, thank you. And they introduced us to High Bank Distillery when we went up there for their wedding last year. And what an amazing establishment. And so we are about to try, I know we did their Whiskey War.
Yeah, Whiskey
back
War.
at Holiday.
That was great.
Oh, it was
too.
amazing. Dangerous.
It was dangerously strong. Yeah.
As you might have seen in some of the episodes, we might have gotten a little rosy-cheeked and tipsy. But anyways, we are about to try the gin.
Yes.
So this is named, it's called State House Gin because apparently it took about 23 years to actually build the State House in Columbus, Ohio. They put so much care and effort into it that the owners, Jordan Hellman, Adam Hines, Calvin Jones, and Jeff Ireland, those are the four kind of partners for High Bank Distillery. They just took inspiration to the beautiful State House and hence the gin. So
that's awesome.
Let's do what we love to do.
Yes. Oh, I hit the microphone.
Oh, we hit the mic. Skull.
Ooh, citrusy.
Citrusy and bright. Absolutely.
Not very juniper. Oh, there's the juniper.
There it is. Afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards. Really like it.
Mm-hmm.
The burn is not too bad either.
No, because I didn't chill this.
Yeah.
I didn't shake it with ice. Like we are literally pour from the bottle and enjoy.
Proof on hope. I said it again. Don't yell at me, Danny. Oh, and I scraped against the table. Making all sorts of errors over here. Ooh, that. Ooh, 41%. Okay, so it's 82 proof. It's not that strong. It does have a little bit of a burn. I didn't expect to have so much of a burn on 82 proof, but
also, again, we haven't chilled it. I feel like that.
I mean, yes,
it's not on ice.
Yeah, it's not on ice. It's a good one. It's a great mixer.
Yeah,
I like the citrus in it. It's not that strong on the juniper, but for anyone who you're looking for a completely smooth gin and you're wanting it to go down without a burn, yeah, you're gonna want to put this on ice and really utilize this as a mixer. But it's a great mixer, especially with a good citrus.
I would drink this straight. I would just want it chilled.
Yeah,
sure. I absolutely would. Maybe another episode. But now, since we are in the dog days of summer, which I learned meant because of the dog star, Sirius, being centered over us, it is why it's called the dog days of summer. It just happens to align with it being god-awfully hot.
That's what I thought it was.
So, but anyways, going off some summer flavors that we love, this is peach, lemon, and rosemary for our State House Gin. Cheers.
Cheers.
And our gentlemen are trying it off camera. What do you guys think?
Ooh, definitely got the peach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really
right.
Good.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Tell me about the book that you picked out for us for this month, because it's amazing.
Yeah. Tim Ferriss is the author of the 4-Hour Workweek. You can see it here, and I've got my copy too.
He has a couple in that 4-hour series.
Yeah,
right?
He does.
Body, I think, for like 4-hour chef.
He's very active. He has a lot of different pursuits that he has dived into. So he has a series that's the 4-hour, and you fill in the blank. And this one we've particularly went over, which is the 4-Hour Workweek, which is a great way. We've dived into books that have really talked about systems and operations and really just being efficient and effective with your time. Um, and he dives in a little bit more about how that really is going to help you personally, through your mindset and your personal life, but especially in business. And so I decided that this would be a great book to really focus on in the summer, because summer is typically when we burn out.
Totally.
We really hone in and hyper focus on completing a task or reaching a goal, those goals that you set in January, right? You really are getting into the second half of the year. And so a lot of people tend to burn out because they're so hyper focused on reaching the goals that they set for themselves in January and February.
That makes sense.
So I felt it was a great way to align our channel with how can you still achieve all your goals, be effective in reaching those goals, but not burn yourself out. And the 4-hour work week was a great way to align all that together.
I saw it, like just getting started reading it. And I mean, Timothy Ferriss, he's very active, like you said.
Yes.
He's an author. He's also a public speaker.
Yeah.
He travels the world. He does
a lot.
Kickboxing, dancing, diving. Like there's so much he does. I think I read somewhere he also invested in Uber early on, maybe something like that. Just he's
all over. He's like
he's all over.
Yeah, all over. It's like kind of reminds me of Elon Musk without the billions of dollars. But yes, he really just he has pursuits.
He does a lot,
and he went after them.
Yeah.
And he found a way of doing it. He says not time management. We'll go into that a little bit. But
that was an interesting chapter.
Yeah, that was an interesting chapter. Anyways, we'll go when we get there, we'll talk about it. But he found a way of going after all these various pursuits while still having a very viable and successful business.
Yeah. Businesses even.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plural.
So just learning about him was intriguing to me. And I know we've dug into our different authors and got to know them more. But what I appreciate that he did in the book is he actually takes you through what he calls his chronology of pathology.
Yeah.
It's the German.
Yeah.
And I think because he was so vulnerable of the different things he experienced, I mean, he took us all the way back to, he was born premature. You know what I mean? Like, you get almost into where somebody forms their belief system. I mean, we've talked a lot about the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he takes you through, and his way of writing, like he adds his little sarcastic comments. Like, for example, he talks about how he almost failed kindergarten because he refused to learn his ABCs, because when he asked his teacher why, his teacher gave the old adage, because I said so.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that started out really good. Yeah. Or something like that. And then he goes on to say how he was fired from the first job that he ever had within 3 days.
Yep.
Because he had figured out how to do what was asked of him in like 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he spent the rest of his shifts like
on magazines.
Yeah. And his boss thought that was him being lazy, even though he got the work done that he was being paid for to do for that 6 or 8 hour shift.
Yeah.
Again. And his boss told him, someday you'll learn the value of hard work. So these are like paradigms or beliefs that are being slowly ingrained in him at a young age.
Yes. Yeah.
He invested money at one point into producing an audiobook because apparently he was told, you'll never make it into an Ivy League school because of your grades. Well, he made it to Princeton.
Yeah, he found a way of circumventing their testing. The SAT testing scores, and he found a way to get in
there.
Yeah.
And so then he made an audiobook about that. He took all of his money from, I think he said 3 summers worth of work, and didn't sell a single copy, So all right, now we have that. How many of us entrepreneurs have that first thing that we try that just falls through? And
there's a confidence built in your particular product. You believe your product is viable. You believe everyone is going to want your product because you would want it if you were coming across that product for sale in the market.
You almost build it for yourself and people who could identify with your journey.
Exactly.
Sure.
And what he found out was something that most entrepreneurs go through is just because you built it for you doesn't mean someone else is going to want it as well.
Yep, absolutely. And then he set up, while he was at Princeton, I guess he set up a speed reading coaching course. And it did pretty well, even though he got a lot of hate mail and things about that. But he learned in that he didn't want to offer services anymore. He wanted to offer products. And I think that's really huge. As you're thinking about launching your own business, you need to kind of decide, what exactly are you going to offer? Yeah. And what do you want to pour your time and energy into?
Exactly. Yeah.
So again, these are things that have shaped his essence into what became. He, for a while, dropped out of school. This I love because he explains later in the book how he did it. But he drops out of school. He attempts to open a chain of gyms in Taiwan, but was shut down by the mafia.
That
there was another money loss, right?
Yeah.
So he says, so I moved back to the U.S., learned kickboxing, and in 4 weeks won a national championship due to unconventional methods.
That was hilarious.
He explains his unconventional methods later, but all you're doing is reading this in the intro, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Can we dive into the unconventional, or do you want to dive into it?
It comes up later.
Oh,
it comes up later. We're going to leave you hanging.
Okay. Sorry.
So then he finds a startup. He observes a startup that he's interested in, and he emails the CEO. He claims 32 times until the CEO finally buckles and gives him the job. He starts working there, and whoever his boss is like thumps a phone book on the table. For those of you who are younger, a phone book was this thing about yay thick that had everybody living in your city listed in alphabetical order with their phone number listed.
Now those are the white pages.
Yeah.
The yellow pages were all the businesses.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And when you were little and sitting at Thanksgiving dinner, you would get to sit on it so that you could reach things.
Oh, that's so true. Those were the first booster seats.
They were the first booster seats. Exactly. So anyways, he was told to call starting A through Z. And when, he asked his boss, like, why would we do that? That seems a little inefficient.
Yeah.
The boss says, because I said so. And he's like, well, we're off to a great start. Again, I think he's thinking back to his kindergarten
cyclical.
Yeah, absolutely. So he sticks with the company. I mean, he begged the CEO, 32 emails, right? And he found out after a year of being there and 12-hour days, he said he was one of the lowest paid workers, and he's not having that. So he launches his own business.
Yeah.
And lands up being a slave to his own business, working 12 plus hours a day.
And we've heard that story, right? He went from employed to self-employed, which is sometimes you are your worst boss.
Yep.
Right? Because you can't escape the rat race.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then once his company started doing well, he was approached to have it bought. Yeah. Those fell through. But what he did to position it to be able to buy was actually really good. It begun kind of, I think, the fundamentals that then turned in to his flow, right? He had to cut off the excess fat. He had to trim. He had to make it ready for a sellable package. Well, those fell through. I think he said they ended up stealing or copying his business model, and it hurt his business.
Yeah, he was approached by 2 different people to buy his company. When those deals fell through, they said, well, cool, don't worry, we don't need to buy your company. We're just going to copy it.
Yep.
And just do what you do.
Yep.
But at the end, you can try and copy the original, but like any copy, there's just not as good.
It's not the same
as the original copy.
It needs the heart. It needs the original why.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. So in the end, he learns how to automate and delegate what is going on in his business. And he ends up traveling the world. He ends up turning a week of vacation or months into several. And he comes back, I think he says, in a Zen-like state, realizing that you can have it all.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he put that in there, but I think more importantly, how many of you are at some stage of this? I think, to our listeners, like, have you tried something and it failed? Are you working somewhere and you just found out you're the lowest paid there? Have you, have there been things along your journey that are slowly building that?
And people put you down and make you feel bad about it, or you've come across disgruntled employees, or you are the disgruntled employee.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the 4-hour work week, the whole premise is he's going to help you figure out how to go from making $40K a year, working 80 hours a week, to making $40K a month or more, working 4 hours a week. And he describes this concept of kind of what's called the new rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so this quickly perked me up. I'm like, okay, this is interesting, because we talked about the new thought, and there's a whole new way of thinking. And this happens every few generations.
Yes.
Probably every 2.
Yeah.
There's a whole new wave. Like the way mom and dad did it or grandma and grandpa did it, it just didn't work.
Doesn't resonate with that
doesn't resonate.
particular generation.
Technology has evolved tremendously. So this is going to be interesting, I'm thinking, reading this, because he talks about the new rich versus those that are kind of stuck in like kind of defer mode, where you work hard your whole life, you save up, and then you hope for retirement. You hope for a great retirement.
Yeah. That's where I come from. My generation. Your generation.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were told, find a great company, work really hard there,
save your way up, money, work your way up the ladder.
Work your way up the ladder. Yes.
Max out your retirement fund, and you retire at 62 or 65 or 67 because it keeps getting pushed up, right?
Yep. And live conservative, especially when you're younger.
Work hard now and enjoy it later.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That is what is taught to us kind of from day one.
Yeah.
And here he comes, and he's part of this concept that he is, I don't know if he labeled it or it is just labeled the new rich. Mm-hmm. And he has a few things in there, like the new rich prefer mobility, lifestyle design, and they don't feel tied to the old beliefs of delaying everything.
Yeah. What's funny is, when was this book published?
Yeah, you'll have to, you look and see while you're looking that up. So what I appreciate is he starts the whole book off with some frequently asked questions. And then every chapter, he actually gives some really great questions and digging deeper into what he's offering. But I love some of these questions. He says, do I have to quit or hate my job to apply this? And he says, absolutely not. No. Not at all. Some people are at that tipping point, though. I mean, he was. Yeah. He was burned out, overworked, underpaid. And he was like, something's got to give. So he creates his own business, and he's still working 12 hours. So the other question is, do I have to be single and 20-something? And part of me thought that when reading this. I really did. I was like, oh, well, you don't have kids. But honestly, when you get further into the book and you read what he's trying to help people set up, it doesn't matter your age at all.
Yeah, because you think, oh, okay, I'm young, I'm single, or I have a boyfriend, but I have no attachments. Mm-hmm. And you would think, okay, I can do some of these steps in the book if I had no attachments, if I didn't have to worry about anyone else except for myself. And let's continue on, because I have different opinions.
So let's keep going. So he says, if you've picked up this, I really like this. I have a few quotes that he strategically places quotes throughout the book. Mm-hmm. One of his that he says, if you picked up this book, chances are you don't want to sit behind a desk until you're 62. And I think, so that's, just, and kind of depends. If you're listening to this podcast and part of this journey with us, this book is going to, I guess, it's disrupting the market in a way.
Yeah.
And it's definitely ruffling feathers in certain industries, because there are people who are still preferring that or believe that the deferred lifestyle that he has suggested is the ideal way. Or I think bosses like to hold on to control.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's been around since
forever.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's something about the work day, the concept, right? For some
9 to 5.
The 9 to 5. Yeah. Absolutely. So I love that Timothy says this. He says, people don't want to be millionaires necessarily. What they want a lot of times is to experience the things that they believe only millionaires can buy or get.
Well, yeah, look at our debt. Look at our national debt. Right there, it'll tell you that a lot of people want to experience what millionaires
are experiencing. Yeah.
Experience. And I say in quotations because you don't really know
have to be a millionaire.
You are a millionaire to experience it. But you go in debt trying to live the life or experience what quote unquote millionaires you think do.
Exactly.
Right. So that's I saw that highlighted in the book. I'm like, interesting.
It is interesting.
People will go into debt trying to do it.
They do. Mm-hmm. And so he poses some of these questions early on in the book, because again, he's going to position you for your mindset to be open and understand his principles in here. I love this question. How would your decisions change if retirement was no longer an option?
Yeah, I did see that in the book too. Mm-hmm. He actually states that retirement should be looked at like a life insurance policy, right? You have life insurance for the ultimate end, which is, to ceasing to live. And in this case, you are ceasing to work, and so
enjoy life.
So his question is, there shouldn't be a retirement policy or a retirement, what is it? Retirement savings or whatever, a plan.
Yep.
Because you should be living your entire life on and off,
That's exactly what he does. He's like, this new rich, they basically save up for short little rejuvenation bursts. Yes. Is what it is. So you hit the grind, you save up, you plan, you go somewhere for weeks, months, or even a year or two.
Yes.
And then you come back, you assess, hit the grind, do something else.
And I agree with it and not agree with it. I think that it can be misconstrued a bit, because if you save up, so say you want to save a few $1,000s and you want to go on this vacation, but all you did was save up a few $1,000s and nothing else went for anything, other investments. I mean, we talked about Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We talked about the various quadrants. I think where the misconception in this comes in is, do not go and save your few $1,000s just to blow a few $1,000s so you can take a break.
No,
right?
That's where you got to read The Science of Getting Rich.
Yeah,
Richest
Man. And I think that's this book was made back in 2007, the first time, the reiteration in 2009, and I think what's very interesting about that is, after COVID, everything he talks about in this book is very real.
Absolutely.
It's a huge paradigm shift to people who are now thinking like this.
Tremendously.
But it comes at a consequence if you're not doing the homework beforehand.
And absolutely. Yes. And he's very specific in some of the strategies and things to do. And of course, we'll get into that. But you're right. Like, you've got to, and it's not, he even says, do I have to want to travel the world for this to work? Or travel? No. Like, if you just want more time with your family.
But if your strategy or your goal is to travel the world, and that's where I'm saying, like, we're going to continue forward, but just to give you a little I agree with many things in the book, and there are some things that I think further research and practical applications need to be applied before you can execute some of the things in this book.
Absolutely.
So I don't recommend anyone who hasn't read any of the other books that we've covered in our series. I don't recommend you starting with this book.
No.
I'm going to say that this is a great book to build upon, which is why this is not the very first book we started with, right? In our channel.
Yes, absolutely. So he tells his readers in this, how is this book different from other, I guess, kind of self-help or business instructional books? And he says he's not going to spend time on the problem. He says, I'm going to assume you are suffering from time famine, creeping dread, or worst case, a tolerable and comfortable existence doing something unfulfilling. And I think that's, I think there is where he's speaking to the employee.
Yeah.
He's not speaking to the self-employed or the business owner necessarily.
He could be. He could be. If you've been self-employed for many years and you're kind of stuck in that rat race, because self-employed can be a rat race too. You're only producing enough to pay your bills, but you're not really producing enough to get you towards the goals that you initially had starting a business. Then yes, you would still fall under that.
That makes sense. You're right. Yeah. Absolutely. So he says that this book is not about finding your dream job. He assumes that most people have actually the perfect job. You just got to figure out how to apply this to it. Possibly. Yes. But I tried to read this as through the lens of you're wanting to start your own business and have the 4-hour work week. And that's the lens that I tried to read this through. But I felt like I kept getting pulled into you're a disgruntled employee, you're frustrated with things.
Because there's various things in this book that he tells you that if you're currently working for another company, there's a way to alleviate 80% of the grunt work that you're doing and pass it off to someone else that can do it for you to free up your time. So of course that would definitely come back to being an employee. But as what we do as business owners, we help other companies that are possibly feeling like they're in that rat race, business owners, I can definitely see where you're coming back to the side of the business owner saying,
how do we help our clients, right, as Sage consultants?
And it's I have so many things to say on this, but I'm gonna because I don't want to skip around. Kristen has a very good list of things she's going through right now, so I'm gonna let her
structure it.
I do too. Believe it or not, I do too.
So,
but I'm letting my hair down right now, so I tend to jump around.
Okay. So we really only covered the introduction here, to be honest. But I think that more than anything, to get inside his psyche and what he had been through and where he shaped his kind of drive to figure out how to create I see it. Everything that he experienced, everything that rubbed him the wrong way, everything that just didn't sit right, it pushed him to figure this out. And for the decisions he made for the businesses that he launched, this works.
Yeah.
I think you and I began to hint on that there are certain businesses that a 4-hour work week may not work at first, and we'll certainly dig into that. But the bulk of his book, he goes through the acronym DEAL, making a deal.
Make a deal.
DEAL. And DEAL he says it's an acronym for the process of how to become a member of the new rich.
Mm-hmm.
So D, we're going to cover this in the next few episodes. D is for definition. E is for elimination. A is for automation. And L is for liberation. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to dig into this. Some of them we'll spend more time in and pick apart. And then others, let's see. But I'm excited to
we
dig
dialogue
into this.
really well together. So I think we're going to have a lot of dialogue on this. And I think you and I definitely agree with some things, don't agree with others.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's okay, guys. We bring these books on and we're giving you our true our true reading, our true interpretation of the book. And some things in that interpretation we do not agree with, and some we do.
Some we do.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you're getting our honest opinion when we give you these reviews, just like the booze.
Just like yes. Absolutely. Well, on that note, y'all, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I'm excited to dig into his deal.
Yeah.
But we need a new drink here. So
yes, we're gonna go refill.
Let's do this. We'll kind of wrap this one up. We'll leave them hungering for more, wondering what the deal steps are. Meanwhile, go grab the book.
Yeah.
Grab a good book.
Get some great booze.
And get a good buddy to share it with. Y'all, we'll see you soon. But please remember, priorities. We're working on building this community, guys. It helps us out so much when, of course, you like and subscribe. But even more importantly, please share. Yes. When you share a comment, like you said, what YouTube is meant for, let's, give each other feedback.
YouTube was meant to go ahead and not only as a way to entertain us, it's also a way for us to share our ideas. So please, guys, comment, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
And see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, my friend.
Try not to hit the microphones that much, too.
Okay.
I just saw that microphone bounce around.
Okay. No
the pressure.
The pressure, I know.
Pressure.
Just make sure you're having fun.
Can I drink yet?
Sit up straight. Smile. Look away when you laugh.